Hi, you guys. I'm so excited to have you guys back. It is your favorite attorney on Beyonce's Internet, Attorney Dominique Praise. I'm super excited to talk to you guys about something that I find to be extremely important in this season, and that is AI creation and how that's affecting your business. So come on in, grab your pen and paper, because this is going to be something you want to make sure that you tap into. Okay, so as you guys already know this, we are literally living through one of the biggest legal gray areas in modern internet history, and that is with creators using AI. This gets into AI cloned voices, recreating faces, imitating creators, generating fake interviews, creating parody videos, fake podcasts, all of which are fully in a very honestly, which can put your business in very interesting legal consequences if you don't understand these AI tools. Some of these AI issues that I'm getting ready to get into today. Let's get into it. The main issue here is simply that the law has not fully caught up to where AI currently is right now. Long story short. But lawsuits have already started to unravel, and we're looking at what those protection gaps are starting to show us. So, where does copyright law currently stand, and where exactly are those gaps? So, right now, what AI law looks like is what is that foundation? They're pulling from copyright law, privacy law, trademark law, right of publicity rights, and free speech. But they're treating them like they're all the same thing, and they are so different. So let's break down what the copyright law looks like as we look at likeness issues. So copyright genuinely protects original creators of works. Think of books, music, films, artworks, scripts, videos, photography, and any form of human authorship. And the key word in there, human authorship. Okay. But here's the issue: copyright law was not built for AI. So most US copyright laws were developed long before generative AI ever even existed. So now courts are basically trying to answer the question, can AI train on copyrighted content? Is scraping the internet technically fair use? Or can AI generated content itself be copyrighted? Who owns an AI creation at the end of the day? The AI system that generated or the human that did the actual inputting? And what happens when AI reproduces someone else's work way too closely? These are all the issues that are in current courts right now being questioned. So I want to break down a few cases that I found a little bit interesting going through some of these issues today. So one of the major lawsuits that we're seeing right now as it relates to copyright is the New York Times versus OpenAI, which is one of the biggest AI lawsuits that we're seeing in the world right now. So the New York Times lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft basically states that the system used articles from the New York Times in their OpenAI system, which is all copywritten work. And so this case can literally shape the future of how AI systems can be trained, what's going to be considered fair use, what's going to be considered use from a licensing perspective, and whether or not companies need permission to train on copyrighted material. And so the reason I wanted to go through this a little bit before is so you can understand when I get into the do's and don'ts, why this matters. So the next major lawsuit that we're seeing is Getty Images versus Stability AI. And so this is over claims that a copywritten photo was used to train AI images in their AI generator. And this matters when creators are actually questioning what type of images can I create and that will still be my actual own creation. So this is going to be an extremely interesting case because at the end of the day, the question is, can copywritten work be used for these AI models without actually paying the originator? And that's what this all gets down to, you guys. So the next thing you want to think about is, was fair use actually built for satire, which is how we've originally been using it, or was fair use going to be able to comprehend the use of fair use, which I think is the not how fair use is going to be able to use from the perspective with deep fakes. So I want you to think about a lot of creators right now are like, oh, I use that AI to create a parody or a satire, or this is still fair use. But if you're using AI that is really going to be connected to like tearing somebody down and it doesn't fall under the guise of fair use. So think about fair use was originally created for stuff like Saturday Night Live or Mad TV or South Park, where you can clearly see and identify that this is a parody or that somebody is trying to make fun of something or to educate you on something. But nowadays, because AI changes that line of question of, is this real or is this actually a fake? Because old parody law, they were thinking of things being overly exaggerated. There were actors playing parts. It was animated. It was obviously comedy. But now AI allows things to look extremely realistic. We're getting realistic faces, voices. They're matching people's even speech patterns and doing fake interviews and fake scandals that never even happened. And it's blurring the lines between what was fair use from an entertainment perspective and what now you're using fair use, which is deceptionably used when we're looking at a lot of these deep fakes. So you really want to make sure that you're not blurring that line. The next thing I want you guys to be thinking of is, regardless of where AI rights are right now, there's still an issue with the right of using someone's name, image, or likeness, which they have actual value over your identity. You actually own all of this, okay? Can't nobody reuse you without your permission. Can't anybody get you on screen to say something using your name and likeness that you did not approve. And so now we move into something that's a little bit different from copyright. It's what we call, from a legal perspective, the right of publicity. This is the legal concept that many people have rights over, like I just mentioned, your face, your voice, your name, your likeness, your image, your full identity. And AI is creating massive issues here with this issue. And another case that I would bring up to draw that home is Scarlett Johansson literally is suing AI voice cloning. She's suing OpenAI for cloning her voice. So Scarlett Johansson publicly came out and basically said OpenAI created a voice that sounds extremely similar to hers. But the gag is that OpenAI had previously went to her asking to use her voice, and negotiations fell through. And then they went and created a voice that sounded extremely similar. So she has a really good case because there's prior relationship to be able to sue that they knew what they were doing before this was filed. And so I think that this is going to be an interesting case, but I think that just continues to hone in on what I'm saying is you want to be extremely careful if you are creating something, knowing that you're doing it to be very similar to a celebrity or an influencer that you do not want to play that game. Okay. Next, the thing that I also want us to shift into is, as AI being one of the world leaders, we're actually behind the curve when we talk about protection and making sure that it makes sense where AI is going, because other countries are moving faster than we are, because the world is already starting to regulate AI in a way that we haven't started regulating AI. And so one of the things that I've been really paying attention to is the European Union has created the EU AI Act. And so it really is adopting rules to give transparency over AI generated content and deepfakes. Literally within the EU AI Act, you cannot upload and create deepfakes. Literally the amount of fines and damages there, because they're understanding that the laws are constantly creating, the technology is creating opportunities for people's images to be misused. And so they're really on top of it. And I love this. Now, interestingly enough, one state in the US that I do think is on the forefront is Tennessee, because Tennessee has the Elvis Act, and they've recently expanded it to ensure that the likeness, voice, and images is protected in their Securities Act, specifically doing an update addressing AI voice and likeness misuse. The law explicitly expanded protection over how AI generated stimulations can be made of a person, which is huge. And I really do think when the US begins to adopt changes for our Copyright Act, they're going to be looking at Tennessee's Elvis Act as a template of what they should be doing from an overhaul of where we currently have the gaps in what we need to do. I just want to state this. Your voice is an asset. I repeat, your voice is an asset. No, you don't have to be an Elvis. You don't have to be a Beyonce or Shania Twain. The fact that you have your own personal voice is something that you have a right to protect. And I think, and I'm just going to predict, we're going to see a lot more creators going back to old school, and actually getting their copyrights registered to make sure that their voice, their name, their likeness, and image is actually protected in other mediums outside of just their natural everyday use. I really do foresee that. Now, next, what are we starting to see? Because I've already talked to you guys about multiple companies that we're seeing that are being sued, but where is there gaps that could potentially open the everyday entrepreneur or creator to get sued? And what are those potentially legal claims for carelessly using AI even look like? Let's get into it. So the very first thing that a potential legal claim could be in your misuse of AI could be defamation. Defamation could come from if your AI video falsely portrays someone. So let's say you created a parody and it's showing somebody cheating or engaged in some form of conduct that they normally wouldn't do. This would level to the rise of potential defamation. So while there are still gaps in the law from an AI perspective, there are other legal claims that people can file for your misuse. The next one that you want to look at is invasion of privacy or false light. This happens when content falsely portrays someone in a misleading or humiliating way. And AI makes this extremely easy to do by just taking one video of someone and mixing and matching different things in their little AI editors. Thirdly is the right of publicity. So this means you can literally not use someone's name or likeness for commercial use without their permission. So that means you can't monetize it, you can't advertise it, you can't use it to build your platform. So that's back in the day. I can't even, oh, I think her name is, she was seen leaving out of a CBS and it was posted on TMZ. And then CBS had reposted it on their Twitter when Twitter was still Twitter. And they had it just as a little funny, but she sued because they said that she was using it they were using it as advertisement and they didn't have permission to be using her name and likeness for commercial use. Baby got it back. So when you see people using an outfit that you posted and they're reposting it and they didn't give you permission, run up those damages claims, okay? If somebody uses your hairstyle, I see a lot of this though. If you had on a wig, they'll show your wig on an Amazon as a review and you didn't give them permission. Damages, okay? Those are the type of legal claims that you would be claiming to get those type of damages. And we've already talked about copyright claims, but just to keep that in the conversation of what those potential claims could be, creators could be at risk of copyright infringement, making unlicensed derivative work, or unlicensed a protected material. So those are the type of things that could get you in trouble as a creative. As a business owner, you should also think about the issue. And this isn't just a creator issue. This could be a business owner issue as well. So if you own a business, come all the way in because I'm talking to you, boo. Because if businesses are now using AI for ads or customer service, marketing videos, using them as voice assistants or on social media or in your branding, many companies don't realize that using AI generated people, voices, or likeness can create liability if you aren't actually disclosing in your terms that you're using AI in your business. And this is one of the simplest things that a business owner can do to protect themselves. Make sure that you have AI use inside of your terms. That's a key for you guys. That's some free legal for you guys. So I hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Okay, you guys? Because what I want you guys to remember is never, ever, ever create a fake endorsement relationship. I don't even care if it's a past consumer that posted it on their social. Get permission before you do any type of editing or uploading that to your site to be able to use. Also, make sure that you are making fake testimonials or making marketing materials that could be seen as a deep fake. So definitely just some things that I want you to be mindful of. But now that I've told you all this, I don't want to scare you because that's not what your legal bestie is here for, okay? I'm wise counsel. I'm here to make sure that you understand the resources and understandings of how you can protect yourself in these spaces as AI continues to move. I want you to have a smarter AI content strategy. That's it. So the number one tip that I want to give you, if you are thinking about it from the perspective of, okay, now that I understand that AI is pulling from different places, now that I understand that you can't inherently copyright something if it has 100% AI production on it, then how could I actually protect myself? The number one thing you want to do is add human creativity. If you want stronger protection over your own work, you want to make sure that when you are using AI, you are putting human creativity into it, okay? That looks like you're not just prompting alone, you're actually adding scripting, storytelling, you're adding editing and commentary and narration so that it can get over that hurdle of having that human components to it. Other thing that I want to make sure that you're careful of is do not make content that looks deceptively real if you know that it can tie to someone else. You don't want to get yourself hooked up and in trouble. The main thing that I want to tell you, which is the simplest and the easiest, but yet so many people don't do it, is for permission and not forgiveness. It's so easy to go to a customer that you've seen post a testimonial for you and slide into their DMs and say, hey, do you mind if I repost this or use this on my website? Or if you see a client that's rocking your sweatshirt, shout out to the Legal Legacy merch dropping soon, but that's not what we're talking about today. If you see that a customer has worn your sweatshirt and you want to use that in an ad, simply slide in their DMs, ask if they would be comfortable with you using that in your marketing materials, maybe send them a discount code for their next purchase. You just want to make sure that you're protecting yourself. And last but not least, I want to make sure that especially my business owners and my creators, I need you guys to start thinking like a media company, because media companies have an actual checklist of their legal standards before they put something out to make sure that it's not plagiarism, to make sure that it's not violating anyone's rights, that they check their sources, that they're making sure that they're crediting any creators that they pulled information from. I need you guys to start thinking with that mindset to make sure that you're going to be able to protect yourself in the long run with your business, okay? And in closing, AI is not going anywhere, you guys. So it is literally on us to make sure that we are doing everything that we possibly can to protect ourselves. But more importantly, we don't know how long it's going to take for the US government to catch up to where a lot of these other countries are. So we need to be making sure that we're doing our best to just stay ahead of the curve. And last but not least, you guys, if you listen to all this and you're just like, Attorney Dominique Price, I need you to come in and audit and figure out where there might be some gaps, where are there protection levels that I need to be putting into my business. That's what your girl is here for. So let's go ahead and make sure we get you set up today. I'll put some link below so that you can figure out exactly how you can get some time on my schedule when time permits. I love you guys. If there's something in particular that you guys want me to cover, drop it in the comments below. I hope this information was helpful and can't wait to talk to you guys again.